Somewhere the master of high difficulty dungeon. There is a party that is having trouble facing the dungeon boss, the wingless dragon Ceberumus. The dragon looks like it's going to spit out a fireball. They also prepared to face the fireball attack. But he was surprised by something. It looks like there are goblins standing in front the dragon's attack. The goblin seemed to know what it was doing. The attack was launched with such force that it hit the goblin. But with unexpected movement, the goblin dodged the attack. Then slashed the dragon with a mace weapon. They were shocked by the goblin's unexpected strength. The goblin can defeat a level 65 dragon easily, with just one attack. But he saw someone nearby. It seems like that man is the one who summoned the goblin. Then long before that, one morning, there was a man named Kim Chulsu who was working hard. In real world he is a manual laborer. He hopes to win the lottery so that he can become rich suddenly. But it was heard that the workers were talking about a game that could make money. The game is called Heavenly Door, a virtual reality game, a game that looks so real that it makes you forget the real world. Then he tried the game at an internet cafe. Real-world money started flowing into the game. And game items became real-world currency. Heaven Door became a true game changer, and he will try to enjoy playing this game. Finally he entered the game and became a stone digger. He also got ore items from digging. It turns out that after a while in the game, his life hasn't changed, and he's still in debt everywhere. He has high goals in this game, but all he gets is trash and keeps digging for uncertain money. But suddenly he got lucky from digging. He got the advanced healing crystal item, and if he exchanged it he could get 300,000 won. He looks very happy to get this crystal. But suddenly someone came to him. There was a party that approached him, and appreciated Kim's performance. The party wants to ask Kim for help in breaking the rocks, so they need a skilled mine now. Their way to enter the dungeon was blocked by rocks, and they needed his help to break it, now that he thought a little. If Kim helps the party, then he might be able to get rare ores in the dungeon, but there are monsters there. But because she kept teasing Kim, he finally agreed. He might get into trouble if he experiences this. It looks like there are already low-level monsters ahead. He was already surrounded by many monsters. The monster immediately attacked Kim head-on. But the fire attack saved him from the monster attack. Catherine Lee, a level 39 mage. He was lucky to be saved. It looks like the woman is strong. She told Kim not to move away from her, so she could protect him. It seems like their party has high skills. It seems that this man is skilled in using weapons, even defeating monsters. Their goal is to find rare ore by inviting high mining levels like Kim. But his words seem to mock Kim because high mining level is a lowly job. Mining jobs are lowly level for them, and they consider Kim to be just a tool. He won't allow that, and will show his combat skills. Then he started to use mining skills. For him, this movement is a mixture of mining and combat skills. But it seems that only ore was dug up, and it is impossible that they were not misinformed. He wanted Kim to do a good job and not waste their time. His words made him annoyed, because he had no combat skills, so Kim could only try to mine while mocked. He was already bored with mining. The strong impact caused the rock to crack greatly. And they were shocked by what was in front of them. There seems to be a door, and it is the door to the hidden dungeon. They finally found a hidden dungeon, but something seemed strange. When Kim was happy about this, suddenly the man attacked him from behind. In this game the term is PK mode. He was defeated by someone else. The damage caused was big, and he couldn't move. They also betrayed Kim, because he was no longer useful. All this time he had been lied, and they had known from the start that there was a hidden dungeon here. Good job for a lowly miner to work for them. Kim was thrown into the air hard. But didn't expect him to still be alive. He didn't die thanks to the healing crystal, but now the item was useless and couldn't be sold. Once again bad luck befell him, because his money had disappeared. But it looks like the gate to the dungeon is already open. It seemed like they were getting in there, but he wasn't going to let them have it all. This dungeon seemed like a nightmare to him. But if he wants to change his life, then he has to be reckless. Finally he entered the dungeon. He fell straight down because there were no stairs here. Now his HP is only 20, but he is already in the dungeon. It looks like this hidden dungeon is called the Goblin Shrine, and there is already a big goblin there. The goblin looked harmless and like statue, and he began to check out his surroundings. While exploring there was no sound whatsoever, it was even too quiet. But suddenly he stumbled on something. He was shocked because the person was partying had lost to something. The dwarf is dead and needs a revive item if available. The system shows that the risk level of this dungeon is very high and tells to retreat. Suddenly he heard a loud scream. He seemed to know this screaming sound. The man who had PK Kim earlier seemed to have been defeated by something scary. And the woman was also defeated by the monster. The monster is a level 80 Geiger. It seems like the monster that inhabit this dungeon. This was truly a nightmare, as he had already met a level 80 monster. The monster immediately defeat the enemy cruelly. This was truly beyond his reason and ability. It appears that the woman is still alive and needs help. But that's impossible, because the monster is too strong. His brain was confused about whether to help or run away. But with shock-induced retirement, Kim finally decided to run away. This incident was not their fault, and it was their own doing. Now all that is needed for survive, and they deserve this. It seems the system warns about the Goblin Lord who can sense Kim's cowardice and weakness. He was also confused by the system warning regarding the Goblin Lord. He also pondered a little about acts of cowardice and weakness. Is it true that Kim's actions were right or wrong? The woman was finally defeated. He needs a proper job so that people don't look down on him. What is needed now is the skill to fight monsters, and not the mind skill. He doesn't want to be called weak by anyone, even by goblins. He is determined to change his life. The goblin seemed to be looking down on Kim. Then the goblin laughed when he heard Kim's rambling. It appears in the system that there is a warning to become a goblin summoner. He was also surprised by the hidden class status of the goblin summoner. But he doesn't care and will reject the class change. But in the system he couldn't refuse and automatically became a goblin summoner. Suddenly the monster that was behind him appeared. For him, it was too late, and he had no choice but to become a goblin summoner class. Finally he immediately summoned a goblin to fight a level 80 monster. The goblin has also appeared. It can be seen that the goblin is carrying a club as a weapon. He planned to use the goblin as bait, so he could escape. Finally he told the goblin to attack the level 80 monster. The monster immediately attacked them. And now this is his chance to escape. But the goblin was great and easily able to defeat a level 80 monster using a mace. He was then stunned by the goblin's actions. The EXP gained is also very large because of defeating level 80 monsters. Kim also gets the feed and walk goblin skills, and the goblin level increases. Unexpectedly, this goblin is very strong. This weak goblin looking actually very strong. Kim is confused about the level of this goblin, whether it is already a high level or not. She was going through a terrible experience. The player is playing a virtual game, and she is Catherine who previously died in the game. The guard also opened her virtual device. It seems that she has experienced severe trauma, and can no longer return to the game. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, the goblins continued to exterminate monsters. That goblin defeated all the monsters and leveled up quickly. The enemy being fought is defeated in just one blow. Because of that, Kim gets a lot of good loot, and his EXP also continues to increase. Because he had defeated the boss Geiger in this dungeon, and the previous party was gone, so the loot was his. But after this goblin defeated many monsters, the goblin did not level up, instead only Kim was already level 31. He was still wondering why a low-level monster like a goblin was so strong. But he didn't care about this, and maybe this is a bug in the game. Then he returned to the real world and go to the bank. The loot from the wolf amounted to 7,001 and has been converted to money. But he still has the Geiger heart item that he got, to be exchanged immediately. The officer was immediately shocked by what she saw. But it seems the officer they also talked about something important. Contacted someone to report. Nara bank manager is seen talking to Kim. All Kim wanted was to exchange items for money, but the manager offered a better place to exchange items. The manager offers investments rather than just keeping money in a bank account. He also wondered what kind of investment was meant. And the Geiger item was not 1 million or even more than that, and he immediately gave the rate. The value of the item was 200 or 300 million won. He was shocked. Finally, thanks to that, he managed to pay 10% of his debt. But when in the game, it looks like the goblin can't be unsummoned, and keeps following him, making people annoyed. It seems that many players mocking him because he brought goblins to town. Until it was said that his face resembled a goblin. The goblin immediately told Kim something. There was a big man standing in front of them. The man is named Patton from the Evaton Guild. He seems to be famous in this city. The title of Annihilator that the man holds is also good. It looked like the man wanted to attack the goblin, and Kim shouted that the goblin was not a wild monster. Without thinking, the man immediately took out his sword to attack the goblin. But again the goblin with infinite damage managed to defeat the big man. The man died and the system read it as PK mode. The townspeople saw the goblin defeat the man. If people see that Kim is a goblin summoner, then it will be over. Suddenly another player came and didn't accept their member being PK. It suddenly occurred to Kim that if they were all defeated by the goblins, a big problem would occur. Kim tries to calm down and make that goblin it his business, but they don't seem to be listening. He also tried to explain that if they all ganged up on the goblin, it would look terrible. It looks like its members were thrown from there. Kim and Goblin finally decided to hit and run, to get out of this problem. But when they were being chased, Kim was seen being saved by a man. He was finally able to enter the building and managed to escape. It appears in the Goblin system that Kim is a sneaky person. First the Goblin Lord called him weak. And now the Goblin called him sneaky. The words the Goblin Lord uttered in the system shook him. He didn't want that incident to happen again, like being betrayed by the party. He also emphasized to the Goblin that Kim had been mocked as weak by many people. Now Kim and his goblins will destroy all members of the Evaton Guild alone. They continue to search for Kim, and tell her not to be careless, because their strong members can be defeated in one attack. Suddenly a scream was heard from the front. It looks like the Evaton members are falling one by one. Until finally the goblin was behind him. With his alertness, he immediately attacked backwards with force. It looks like 0 damage is caused by the attack, and it doesn't work. The previous incident was true, that the infinity damage caused by the goblin attack was not a trick. This is a bad day for him, because he will be hit by PK mode. It looks like he can withstand the attack. Due to the effects of the goblin's attack, his shoulder felt pain. How can a weak level monster have such great damage? Finally he was serious about facing the goblins, by using extreme evil assassin skills. Skill that if hit will reduce enemy movement by 90% and will cause 100% critical. He planned to defeat the monster in one strike. It looks like they are working together to defeat the goblin, using their skills together. Thanks to the Gale Arrow skill, the buff obtained also increases. He then began to attack quickly, gathering his power on the dagger. The attack has been carried out, and still nothing has happened. It seems that the goblin still doesn't take any damage at all. But instead the goblin's surprise attack managed to blow him away. Someone was seen approaching the remaining members. The goblin is not an ordinary monster, but a monster that was summoned by someone, and he is called a goblin summoner.